Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to another coffee and chat. I'm just kind of doing these whenever I get inspired by a topic or an idea that's been coming up for me and something I think would be fun to share and just relax and talk about life. And I just love doing these for anybody who happens upon them. And I have a topic that's coming up, I think in light of all the big life transitions I'm going through right now. I'm very much in between zones at the moment. I just finished cleaning my apartment, saying goodbye to it here that I had in the US. While I was waiting for my immigration papers to come through, while I was waiting for that whole process, which took just over a year. And I'm still in the US finishing up some paperwork, some bureaucracy, just getting things organized. And then I will be flying over to Sweden very, very shortly. So I'm kind of in an interim space right now. And I always find these times when you're right between two life cycles or between two different projects or whatever, a really great time to reflect and review and kind of think about my life philosophy and what's coming up for me. And I've been thinking about a topic that really has given me so much freedom and lightness, which is making friends with sadness in this life. You know, we have like our keywords and our intentions for a new year and for a new journey in life. Like, you know, we'll have keywords like joy or ease or play or creativity, right? And those North Star nodes or North Star words are so great. I love them. I love setting those more holistic kind of intentions for a space or a season, kind of keynote words that you can kind of touch on whenever you need to kind of come back to yourself. But I actually think there's another part to this that is so important and something that's really, really helped me, which is, yes, have all of those wonderful, warm words and intentions and ideas and listen to the music that inspires you and, you know, practice feeling that joy and that gratitude 100%, but also make friends with that sadness because sadness isn't an enemy, you know, and I've realized I don't want to keep vilifying sadness in my life. I think living in American culture, being raised in American culture, it's very much prized to be extroverted, positive, outgoing, talkative, kind of happy like this all the time, which has its good sides. You know, if you're going through the US, people are going to be friendly and talkative to you. You're going to feel that sense of being able to just say, hey, what's going on? But it also kind of innately says that if you're feeling emotions like sadness or overwhelm or exhaustion or any of these other important and I think just natural emotions, that they're somehow less valuable and less good. They have a lower place on the ranking system. And I think that is problematic for so many reasons. And before I keep going, I just want to differentiate too between, you know, the natural kind of rhythmic sadness that comes through life when we say goodbye to a friend or we're going through a big move like I am, and you know, you feel the sadness of saying goodbye to friends and shifting gears and feeling that change and feeling the unfamiliar and really struggling with deep depression where you're needing that support and that connection and, you know, maybe a really great therapist. I have a really great therapist and she's helped me a ton. Highly recommended if you can. So you know, I think I'm thinking more in terms of the sadness that comes through as we move through life. It's kind of woven into the threads, into the fabric, into the magic of life. And it's something that I think I've actually learned when I stop vilifying and I stop being in this antagonistic relationship with the part of me that is highly sensitive, that feels deep emotions, that often needs to rest, that can get overwhelmed, and I start to just relax and embrace it, I feel so much happier and more joyful. And this is not, you know, some new wild discovery that I have just discovered. I realized too, as I was thinking through this topic, that this is basically the movie Inside Out, which I'm sure many of you have seen. It's a Pixar movie about a kid going through a big transition in life, and they have all the different emotions inside of them, and like happiness is always trying to be at the head of the the front. And throughout the movie, you learn that like sadness plays its important role and actually has good information to give us and is important to feel, to keep things moving and functioning. So I realized, I was like, oh, I'm just describing a freaking Pixar movie. But I still think it's like worth thinking about as far as like intention setting and being in the year that you want to have, or being in the season of life we each want to have. Like, I think setting intentions about how we want to feel our heavier, deeper emotions is a really, really valuable thing, because so often we're so focused on the happy, joyful, kind of dopamine style moments and how we want to navigate those and how we want to go toward those. And that's great. But I think hand in hand with that, we should set intentions about how we want to feel the heavy, hard emotions, the grief and the overwhelm and the tired and the fatigue and the sadness, the natural melancholy and sadness that comes through life, and the beauty of it and the importance of it, and that it's equally as valid as being happy and joyful and celebratory. And that if we can incorporate it and weave it into our world, there's less of a battleground going on within us. And, I'm also, I think, taking some notes from the concept of positive psychology, which, basically it's like, rather than getting stressed about our stress, getting sad about our sadness, we see the virtue in some of these emotions. And that can actually help us physiologically not feel, have as many physiological implications. And of course, this has its limitations. Positive psychology has its limitations. And I'm not a psychologist, but this is basically what this is me talking about sadness as a natural, healthy part of our lives. So for me, in this year that I hope will be one of warmth and joy, I'm starting a new chapter in my life. I'm feeling very excited about it. I'm feeling very warm about it, very curious. I am going to set the intention to be friends with my sadness and welcome it and hold it and take care of it and allow myself to feel my big feelings. And instead of immediately jumping to, oh, I wish I just felt more outgoing today or more productive today, I'm going to say, I'm feeling an emotion this morning. I'm going to sit with that and I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to care for myself and I'm going to enjoy and take care of these harder, heavier emotions rather than being in that war with them. And I think as soon as I do this, even recently, I've been having days where I'm like, I have a lot of stuff that I'm like organizing and just getting ready right now. And some days I'm like, yes, let's do it. I'm on it. And some days I wake up and I'm just like, can I take a 100-year nap? And then maybe then we could talk about continuing doing things in the physical. I would be down for a 100-year nap. And sometimes that's happening with me right now. And rather than being like, well, there's something wrong with me, it's like, first of all, this is natural. I need rest. I'm processing a lot of new information. I'm going through a really big transition in my life. And this is an important, valuable part of that. But I feel so much freer. I feel this sense of joy and warmth that wraps me up in it when I let myself feel the harder, heavier emotions of this life. And I think also, as a highly sensitive person that is also very much wanting to live an adventurous, playful life and has been doing that for many years, I think for me it's important that I embrace that I hear and see and smell and feel things like very, very, very deeply. And that is okay. In embracing that, it actually allows me to be a bolder person, a more open person, a more present person to try new things out, because I'm not fighting my own innate high sensitivity. And what an uphill battle that is, because if I'm constantly fighting my high sensitivity and saying, well, that's wrong, it doesn't change that I'm highly sensitive. It doesn't change that I feel deeply. It doesn't change that I have kind of a sadness in me that I'm, working with and learning to understand more deeply through therapy and through just life experience. But it's just a part of how I explore and move through the world. And actually it's interesting because initially I might think of myself as feeling really sad on a day. But as I get more acquainted with this feeling of just kind of this blanket term of sadness, if I have a day where I'm feeling the sadness, I'm learning that sadness isn't just sadness. It's so much more than that. It's often ideas or a nudge about something that I need to shift around a little bit because it doesn't feel quite right for me, or that it's an emotion that I need to process and feel so that I can release it. I'm actually learning as I go through this process and as I stop fighting my parts of myself that feel deeply, that there are great teammates. They love me so much. They are right there with me. They want to show me the way. And I feel so much freedom and joy. I'm no longer kind of carrying around this costume that I feel like I have to put on obsessively over and over and over again. And that really, really helps me out. So that is kind of my contribution to the day, and just where I am and some of the intentions I'm setting for this year and this new chapter of my life. I'm going to take a sip of tea. And what do you all think about this? How do you feel about this? Yeah, and you can find me on Patreon, where we hang out every single week, have really fun little chats and connect and chat about all sorts of different astrology topics and tarot topics and life topics. You can also find me on my Instagram, which is at Vrba, and there's only one true Sarah Vrba. I'll leave that handle below, as well as my email and my website. I hope you all are doing so well. I'm a little bit scattered to the four winds right now, so I hope that this was a coherent chat, and I'll see you again so soon for a moon or a monthly reading or another coffee and chat. Sending you my love.